The pandemic stretches into the summer, and we're getting more questions from you about that. We want you to know we're listening, and we are really working hard to get you answers. Reveal investigator Rebecca Lindstrom tackles a few of those questions for us tonight.
Cheryl, it is no surprise that as the number of people heading to the hospital increases, people have questions about the data. Drew Hawley sent us an email asking, if the hospitalization rate is stable, that would be a good thing, right? Curious what the hospitalization percentage rate was back in April and what it is now. Drew, for you, I crunched the numbers and I found at the beginning of this pandemic, about 30% of the people who were testing positive needed to go to the hospital for treatment. But don't forget, only the sickest people were allowed to get the test at the time, and the virus was spreading rapidly through our nursing homes. Now that testing has expanded, we're identifying people who are asymptomatic, and the largest share of new cases is coming from younger, generally healthier age groups. So our hospitalization rate is definitely down, a little over 12%. The hope is those people who are sick will stay isolated so that we can keep it that way.
For my teenage son and his friends and people in their early 20s, sure, they might be at less risk of having serious complications, but their actions have a specific impact on the risk of other people in the state of Georgia developing COVID-19 and developing complications that include death.
That leads us to Lynn Page's question. She asks, what percentage of ICU patients have COVID-19? The Department of Public Health tells us how many people have tested positive while at the hospital, that's the number you see here, and how many with COVID have spent time in the ICU. Right now, that works out to about 20%. Jima adds more insight, telling us how many people each day are receiving medical care for COVID. Today, that number jumped up another 119 cases. Again, not everyone at the hospital is in the ICU, but with 2,215 active hospital patients, there is still a lot of people being seriously impacted by this virus.
You can take another look at our in-depth analysis of coronavirus case numbers and trends over time in Georgia at any time. Just go to 11alive.com/COVID numbers. Chief Meteorologist